Okay, so let us continue our discussion on specific heat of solids. Okay, so in the last class, say from the last some consecutive lectures, we are studying about the equipartition of energy. Okay, and the this by using the equipartition of energy in our particular syllabus, we are finding. See, so far we have calculated the value of gamma by using the equipartition of energy. Okay, so we have calculated the gamma for monatomic gas, diatomic gas, as well as the triatomic gas, and that theoretical data perfectly matches with the experimental data given by the certain experiments here. Okay, so in today's class also we are going to derive the specific heat of solid and the specific heat of water, which 100% agrees with the experimental values given by the solids as well as the water here. So let me start with the first one, the specific heat capacity. Okay, the specific heat capacity of solids. Okay, specific heat capacity of the solids here. So far our discussion is about the gases here. Okay, in the gases, you know that the molecules do not interact each other; they are free from each other. Okay, so they are in a free movement. Therefore, we have the three types of motion: a translatory motion, a rotatory motion, and at high temperature it has the vibratory motion. Okay, so it has got various degrees of freedom due to this types of motion. But in case of solids, okay, you know that what is meant by solids? Solids means they have the highly positional order. Okay, so their position is the fixed here. They are having highly the positional order. They cannot move from each other. They are having the fixed position. Okay, if you take this solid, this is a particular atom here, then throughout its life it remains here only. Okay, it cannot move. Okay, if they are moving, then we don't call it as solids here. Okay, we have to call it as the liquid or the gases. Okay, so now this is not possible here in case of solids. The molecular movement is, the atomic movement is fixed. It is having the highly positional order. Okay, are you getting me? So therefore, in so far, okay, in case of physics, we have taken the structure of the atoms in a solid is considered to be a model of an spring ball model. Okay, so the atoms are considered to be in the form of tiny balls, and the bond between them is considered to be in the form of a spring like this. Okay, so if you take the large arrangement of atoms like this, or also atoms in a solids like this, then they represent somewhat look like this. Okay, so now this ball represents atoms, and the spring between them represents the bond between them. Okay, so you can see here. So the position of the atom is fixed, it is not free. Okay, this atom is not free here. Why? It is surrounded by, it is bounded by other atoms here. Therefore, this particular atom cannot move. It cannot have the translatory motion. He is not free. Okay, similarly, he cannot rotate also. Okay, because you can see here the bond between them, the spring between them, they cannot make a free movement for the rotation. So therefore, in case of solids, we left with only one type of mode. That is nothing but the vibrational mode. Okay, we left with only one type of mode. That mode is called vibrational mode. But in case of gases, we have all the three modes here. Okay, gas molecules can move in the XYZ direction. Therefore, it can have the translatory motion. Okay, so it can rotate about its own axis. Therefore, it can have the rotatory motion, and at high temperature, the atoms in the present in the molecule, they start vibrating. Therefore, it can also have the vibratory motion. But when you take a solid, then you have the only one possible type of motion. That is nothing but the vibrational motion. Therefore, we have to consider only the vibrational mode here. Okay, so we have to find the energy corresponding to the atoms present in this solid by using the law of equipartition of energy. In the equipartition of energy, the energy distribution is decided by the degrees of freedom and the degrees of freedom depends on the number of independent paths in which atom can move. Here in this case it has got only the vibrational mode, therefore I have to consider only the vibration motion here. Okay, if you take a particular atom here, if you take a single atom here, okay, so if you take this particular atom here, then you can see that it can have only the vibrational motion. Okay, and in the solids you can see here, now this, there is an interaction between the atoms here. Due to that interaction only a bond is created, so there is an interaction between the gases. Now that is the difference between solids and the ideal gas. In ideal gas we assume that there is no interaction between the atoms, but in case of solids definitely you can see that one atom is interacting with other atom by forming a bond here. Okay, so therefore this particular atom has got now energy in the two types. One is the kinetic energy. One it is having the kinetic energy. Okay, it is vibrating. It is okay. Now this particular atom is vibrating about the mean position. Okay, now this is the equilibrium position. When temperature is 0, all the atoms are in the equilibrium position. When I supply the energy, it starts vibrating, and this is x here, the maximum displacement. Okay, if I take the displacement of the atom from the mean position, I call it as x. Now this is the maximum. Okay, so vibration here, so it can take any value here for any time t. Therefore, we can say that now that I call it as x. Okay, so it is as vibrating along the x coordinate. Therefore, that particular okay displacement from the mean position, let me call it as x here. Then it becomes half mv square. Okay, so half m into, if I write vx square, that means if okay, velocity is along the x-axis plus due to, now here, now these atoms, okay, if they are okay, so if they are approaching, if they are moving, okay, so if they are vibrating, now here this atom can come closer to these atoms. Okay, after some time again they move away from each other. Reason is, see, when they come closer, now you can see here the spring between them, it gets compressed. So then now that energy, okay, whatever you have supplied the energy, now that energy appears in the form of an potential energy of the spring. Okay, so next, therefore, if the atoms are interacting, okay, if their atoms are interacting, therefore they have one more type of energy here. Now that energy is nothing but a potential energy between them. Are you getting me? Okay, if there is no interaction, if there is no okay interaction, then they don't have the potential energy. Only if they are interacting, in this case they are interacting through a bond here. Okay, so now that spring model type. Okay, so for the sake of explanation, we take it as an spring. Okay, we are comparing with an one dimensional harmonic oscillator. Okay, so therefore we write it as half kx square, where k is nothing but your spring constant. Okay, so in this case, okay, in case of atoms we call it as a force constant. Okay, they are same. If I consider this is equivalent to an one dimensional harmonic oscillator, we are getting the same equation, half k x square, where k is nothing but a spring constant. In case of, okay, so if you take the one dimensional harmonic oscillator, ask them as an, okay, so the bond between them as a spring, then it is a spring constant. Otherwise we call it as a force constant, and k is nothing but the distance of the atom from its equilibrium position. Okay, now therefore now total energy in case of the vibrational motion is due to two quantities here. One is due to the kinetic energy, and second is due to the potential energy. Okay, so we don't have other types of energy. We don't have the translational and rotational here. Okay, so therefore now this is energy corresponding to, so therefore this E represents, so this is the energy corresponding to, so this is the energy corresponding to one atom. Okay, one atom in the solid. Okay, one atom in the solid. Now this is energy corresponding to one atom in the solid. How much it is? Half m square plus half k square. Okay, if I use the law of equipartition of energy, law of equipartition of energy says that energy is equally distributed among various degrees of freedom. Okay, energy is equally distributed among various degrees of freedom, and in each degree of freedom, energy is half kT. Okay, you can see that So if we take the one dimensional harmonic oscillator, if the atoms is oscillating in an x direction, then it can have two type of energy, one kinetic and second is potential. Therefore, if I say that, therefore they have got 2 degrees of freedom here, one due to kinetic, due to an potential. Therefore, energy is equally distributed and energy corresponding to each degree of freedom is half kT. That means due to that energy, okay, so due to this energy, it possesses half kT, and due to the second energy, it possesses half kT. Therefore, what is energy corresponding to one atom? This is K into T. K is nothing but a Boltzmann constant. Okay, so what is the energy corresponding to one atom in the solid? Now that is kT. Are you getting me? Okay, so therefore the energy corresponding to one atom is kT. Okay, is it correct? Okay, so now let me move on to, so our interest is to find the specific heat capacity of solids. Okay, we have to find the specific heat capacity. That means okay, so we are interested in the molar specific heat. Therefore, I have to take 1 mole of the gas. Okay, we have to take 1 mole of the gas. Before that, now see, now this is energy corresponding to solid. If I assume the oscillation is along x-axis only. Okay, it is free to move along the x-axis. Okay, but it's not true. If you take a solid arrangement, then it has got 3 coordinates here. Okay, if you take a solid, then it has 3 coordinates. It has x, so y and z. Okay, so therefore these atoms in a solid, they can free to vibrate along any 3 axes. You can see here there are some atoms, they can vibrate along the x-axis. Okay, there are certain atoms which are vibrating along the y-axis. There may be certain atoms which are vibrating along the z-axis. Okay, so therefore, okay, so therefore it has got 3. Okay, so the solids are considered to be a 3-dimensional harmonic oscillator. Okay, then I can say that, so what is the energy corresponding here? So again I can write here, this is half m. Okay, if this is velocity is along the y-axis, then you have to write half m vi square plus half k into, so this time is, okay, it is oscillating around, okay, now this time it is y-axis, therefore y represents the distance of the atom from its equilibrium position, half ky square. Now similarly, if there is an oscillation along this z-axis, then it is given by half m vz square plus half k z square. Are you getting me? Okay, so it can store energy along x, y and z axis. Okay, it has a possibility of moving in all the 3 axes. Okay, so this is along the x-axis, this is along the y-axis, this is along the z-axis, and according to law of equipartition of energy, and in each degree of freedom, energy stored is half kT. So this is half kT, half kT, half kT, half kT, half kT, half kT. It becomes 6 by 2 kT. How much it is? It becomes as 6 by 2 kT. Okay, if you take the entire, okay, half kT plus half kT is along y-axis, half kT plus half kT along the z-axis. Okay, then total it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this becomes 6 by 2 kT. So you can write it as 3 kT. Therefore, what is energy corresponding to one atom in the solid? Okay, if you take the vibration is along all 3 axes, then it becomes 3 kT. Okay, now this is the story of a single atom. Okay, it is a story of a single atom here. Okay, if I consider the entire atom, if I take 1 mole, if I take 1 mole of solid, okay, because we are defining a molar specific heat. Okay, we have to take the mass as 1 mole. Therefore, 1 mole of a solid. If we take 1 mole of a solid, okay, 1 mole of solid means it contains 6.02 into 10 raised to 23 number of atoms. Okay, if it contains 6.02, that is Avogadro number of atoms, then you say that the mass of this solid is said to be 1 mole here. Okay, if you take the 1 mole of a solid, then the energy is given by, if I write U here, the energy is given by 3 kT is due to, okay, 3 kT is due to one single atom. If it is now then 6.02 into 10 raised to 23 number of atoms energy means simply you have to multiply it by that particular number here. Is it correct? Okay, so now this is corresponding to one atom. Okay, if there are 100 atoms, then total energy is given by this energy multiplied by 100. Okay, so therefore this 3 kT is the energy corresponding to one atom. Therefore the energy corresponding to Avogadro number of particles is multiplied by Na. Okay, as you know that this multiple, so this is 3T, so Na multiplied by K. Okay, so 6.02 into 10 raised to 23 multiplied by Boltzmann constant, that is 1.38 into 10 raised to minus 23. That gives what? Now that gives, you know that it gives something around 8.31. Is it correct? Okay, you are getting some 8.31. Therefore, you can be written as, so this is 3. Okay, 3. So N into K is this one. So this becomes 3 RT. Okay, therefore the energy corresponding to solid, okay, 1 mole of a solid is how much? 3 RT. Now this is very interesting. It is of any solid. Okay, so we are not discussing about a particular solid here. So we are taking a general case here, because you can see here this energy depends on 3 R and T. So 3 is constant, R is constant, and T is the temperature of the solid. It doesn't depend on other quantities here, like its mass, okay, or it may be its volume, density. So therefore, now these quantities are independent of nature of the solids. Okay, for all the solids, you have the same energy, and that energy, it only depends on what? It only depends on the temperature. Okay, so now last step is therefore, so we have to find the molar specific heat. Okay, so molar specific heat. So we know that according to first law of thermodynamics, energy supplied is equal to delta Q is equal to delta U plus P into delta V. Okay, in so far our discussion, we have studied that energy supplied is used to change the internal energy only. There is no change of volume. Therefore, delta V is taken as 0. So therefore, we can say that delta Q is equal to delta U. Okay, and how the specific heat is defined? An amount of energy supplied to the material solid, it depends on mass of the solid, it depends on the specific heat, it depends on the change of temperature. Okay, if you take the 1 mole, then M is equal to 1. Therefore, you can write the specific heat C as delta Q by delta T. You can write like this. So C can be written as delta Q by delta T. Okay, as the entire amount of heat energy is used to change its internal energy, therefore I can write C as delta U by delta T. Okay, so C as delta U by delta T. Therefore, okay, delta U by delta T, or we can write in terms of a derivative also. Okay, we can mention in terms of derivative also. So that is dQ is equal to du. Therefore, C is equal to what? C is equal to du with respect to dt. Okay, so therefore C is equal to derivative of u. U is nothing but 3 RT. Okay, so it is nothing but 3 RT. So therefore the derivative is not applicable for the differentiation, is not applicable for constant. If I take the 3 R constant, you are left with derivative of T with respect to T. Okay, and the derivative of T with respect to T is 1. Therefore, this is very interesting. The molar specific heat of any solid, okay, the molar specific heat of any solid is always equal to what? 3 times that of the universal gas constant. Okay, are you getting me? Okay, so you take any gas, okay, you take any solid, at any solid, what is the molar specific heat? Now that is equal to 3R. Okay, if you look at the data here, so for this, okay, so aluminum, carbon, copper, lead and silver, their specific heats are different. For the aluminum it is 900, okay, for the carbon it is 506, for the copper 386, lead, okay, lead 127, silver 236 and tungsten is 134. If you take this specific heat, okay, that means if you take the 1 kg, okay, amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of substance to 1 Kelvin, that is the usual, that is principal specific heat, and it depends on the material. For aluminum it is Okay, in this chart it is maximum 900, copper it is sub 386 like this. But if you take the molar specific heat, okay, look at the data of molar specific heat here. You can see that in a molar specific heat, your aluminum has 24.4. Okay, carbon it is a it's a different case. Okay, you studied in higher classes. If you look at the other data here, copper, lead, silver, and tungsten all will come around approximately equal to 24. That is 3 times that of the R here. So 3 times that of the R. What is R? R is 8.31. If you look at this one, it is approximately 24. Okay, so now this is a very famous law. Okay, we will study in the higher classes here. Okay, when you go to the so graduation, okay, post graduation, then you will going to study the theory behind this particular 3R in a different manner. Now it is given by the law. First it is observed by the scientist called Dulong and Petit law. Okay, this is very famously called Dulong Petit law. Molar specific heat of solids is constant and is equal to 3R. Okay, that is Dulong and Petit law. Okay, but here, it is not true. It is not 100% true. Okay, so we have assumed that all the atoms are vibrating. Okay, the atoms present in the solid, so that all the atoms are vibrating and they all are vibrating along all the 3 independent axes, and finally we are getting something 3R like that. Okay, now this is true. This particular observation is true. That is equal to 3R only when your temperature is high. Okay, if your temperature is high, okay, now see here, as the temperature is 0, the specific heat is almost 0. As the temperature goes on increases, the molar specific heat goes on increases, and after crossing certain temperature, then only the value of this molar specific heat becomes constant and is equal to 3R. Okay, our derivation is correct, our observation is correct only when after crossing certain temperature. Below this temperature, this is not true. Okay, the reason is given by, so in the Pew, we can't give the reason here. We are saying that molar specific heat is of the solid is a constant one and is equal to 3R. But if you take the experiments data at the low temperature, and you see that they depend on the specific heat depend on the temperature. In this particular concept, we are saying that the specific heat doesn't depend on the temperature also. It doesn't depend on the nature of the solid. It also doesn't depend on the temperature also. Okay, it is a constant quantity. But according to the experimental data, it is not true. The specific heat is an temperature dependent quantity. Okay, this explanation, it is the first. So the reason of the study of temperature, the study of molar specific heat at lower temperature. First it is started by Debye. Okay, he has given certain theories and he tried to explain that particular phenomena, but if fails, then next it is carried by Sir Albert Einstein. Finally Einstein explained so why at low temperatures the molar specific heat depends on the temperature. It is finally explained by the Einstein here. Okay, the first it is started by Debye. Therefore, now this temperature is also called as Debye temperature. Okay, after crossing the Debye temperature, your molar specific heat remains constant. Okay, in a few syllabus, let me neglect all this. So observations here. So far by using the law of equipartition of energy, we are directly getting the molar specific heat as 3R. But remember one thing, that now this is true. Now this result is true only when temperature is high. No, that is greater than the Debye temperature. Okay. So therefore, at high temperature, I can say that at high temperature, the molar specific heat of all the gas molecules is constant and is equal to 3 times that of the universal gas constant. Okay. So first you have studied about the gases, then the solids. Now come to third one, that is about the liquids. Okay. So for the sake of discussion, we are taking one particular liquid here, that is our water. Okay. So discussion is about the specific heat capacity of water. Specific heat capacity. Okay, specific heat capacity of water. Okay, specific heat capacity of water. Here, so in specific heat capacity, okay, water means, okay, if you take a water, then what, okay, let me start with one molecule here. So this water molecule H2O, okay, so it has three atoms here. Okay, so you can see here three atoms here. So H2O, okay, you can see here one O atoms and there are two H atoms. So this is an tri-atomic molecule. Okay, so water is an tri-atomic molecule. Okay, so again let me start here. You can see here, okay, this particular atom in the last discussion we have taken that. So this atom, okay, so they can have an, okay, so we consider atom is an highly dense material. So somewhat we discuss, yeah, okay, water as same as that of the solids. Okay, in NCERT, see he has given, we treat water like a solid. Okay, so in our discussion, we treat water like a solid here. Therefore, now this atom, this particular atom is having only two energy, okay, only one type of mode, that is an vibrational mode here. And if it is a vibrational mode, again it can have the two energy, half mv square is kinetic energy and half kf square is nothing but the potential energy. Okay, again it can have two energy here, kinetic energy and potential energy. Therefore, according to law of equipartition of energy, energy corresponding to each degree of freedom is half kT and half kT. Therefore, this particular molecule has got an energy of kT. Okay, so this O has an energy of kT. Similarly, H can have the vibrational motion. Due to that, it can have kinetic as well as the potential energy, half kT plus half kT. Again, it can have the energy of kT. Similarly, this atom can have energy of kT. Is it correct? Okay, are you getting me? Okay, so therefore, if you take a water molecule, then water molecule has three atoms here, and each atom has an energy of kT. Therefore, the total energy is given by kT plus kT plus kT. Therefore, energy corresponding to one water molecule is energy corresponding to, okay, energy corresponding to, if we take one water molecule is, how much it is equal to 3 kT. Correct? Okay, each having an energy of kT, kT and kT. Therefore, the total energy is 3 kT. Okay, so next again we have to find the specific heat, that is nothing but molar specific heat usually. Okay, so we are finding the molar specific heat. Okay, therefore to find the molar specific heat, I have to consider 1 mole. Okay, that means I have to take the Avogadro number of molecules. So therefore energy corresponding to, energy corresponding to 1 mole of water. If we take 1 mole of water, okay, if we take 1 mole, then what happens? Again, this is 3 into K into T multiplied by Avogadro number. Again, here the K multiplied by Na. Okay, the Boltzmann constant multiplied by the Avogadro number, that gives me the universal gas constant. Therefore, you can write it as 3R. Okay, 3RT. So therefore, the energy corresponding to 1 mole of the water is 3RT. Is correct? Okay. Then the next is very simple. You have to find The molar specific heat of water, again we will define delta Q by delta T. And thermodynamics, okay, if I assume that there is no change in volume, then delta Q is written as delta U. Okay, so better I have to write in terms of derivative, therefore delta Q can be written as the derivative of U with respect to derivative of T. Okay, we can write derivative of U with respect to derivative of T. Therefore, the derivative of U, what is the derivative of U here? It is 3RT with respect to T. Okay, again the derivative is not applicable for the constant. You can take 3R outside. So derivative of T with respect to T is 1. Okay, so let me take. So okay, I have made one mistake here. Okay, so I have taken. Okay, now this is. See, this energy corresponding to 1 mole of water, energy corresponding to 1 water molecule is 3 kT. Okay, so okay, I made one mistake here. Energy corresponding to one water molecule is 3 kT. Again, you know that there may be 3 possible directions here. Okay, there are 3 possible directions here. Okay, so it can vibrate along x-axis, it can vibrate along y-axis, it can vibrate along z-axis. Again, there are 3 possible, okay, modes are there. It can vibrate along x-axis, it can vibrate along y-axis, it can vibrate along z-axis. Therefore, I can say that it is 3 kT is for the one molecule. If there are 3 axes, then it can be written as 9 kT. Correct? Okay, are you getting me? So therefore, U becomes what? U becomes 9 kT. So it can be written as 9 RT. Okay, so energy corresponding to 1 mole of the atom is, okay, now it is correct. Okay, energy corresponding to 1 mole of the gas is, it is 1 mole of the water is 9 RT. Okay, so for the one molecule, you have 3 RT. So if there are 3 axes, then it is multiplied by 3. Therefore, it becomes 9 kT. Then, if I take 1 mole, then this 9 RT. So therefore, the molar specific heat is given by the derivative of U with respect to T. So that can be written as derivative of U. U is again 9 RT with respect to T. So if I take the 9 R outside, then derivative of T with respect to T is 1. Therefore, the molar specific heat of water is how much? Very interesting. This is 9R. Okay, the molar specific heat of water is, okay, according to law of equipartition of energy. If I use the concept of law of equipartition of energy, then I am getting as 9R. Is it correct? Okay, we can verify. Okay, we can verify our theory. Okay, comparing with the experimental data. Okay, we all know that what is the specific heat of water? The specific heat of the water is how much it is? 4186 joule per kg Kelvin. Okay, we all know the value of specific heat of water, that is 4186. Now I have to verify it. Before verifying, now here, now this is in terms of kg. Okay, now this is a molar specific heat. This is 9R. Now this is a principal specific heat. In principal specific heat, we are using kg. In molar specific heat, we are using 1 mole. Okay, so therefore, let me convert kg into an mole. Okay, you know that for the 1 mole. Okay, so you know the molar. Okay, what is the 1 mole of the water? Okay, if you take the periodic table, okay, if you take the mathematical tables, clerical tables, you can get this value here. 1 mole of the water is equal to 18 gram. Okay, if you refer the tables here, you will get 1 mole of water is how much it is? Is 18 gram. Is it correct? Yes, it is correct. Okay, 1 mole of the water is 18 gram. That means 18 into 10 raised to minus 3 kg. Okay, so 1 mole of the water is equal to 18 into 10 raised to minus 3 kg. Therefore, we have to convert this kg into mole. Okay, I have to convert this kg. Therefore, 1 kg of water is equal to how much? If I write inverse, 1 kg of water means what? That is nothing but 1 mole. Is it correct? 1 mole divided by 18 into 10 raised to minus 3. Is it correct? 1 mole of water is equal to 18 into 10 raised to minus 3 kg. Therefore, 1 kg of water is how much? 1 mole. Okay, this 1 divided by 18 into 10 raised to minus 3. Okay, therefore, if I want to convert this specificate into an molar specificate, then it is 14186 joule, no problem, divided by kg. I have to take it as 1 mole divided by 18 into 10 raised to minus 3 kg. Okay, is it correct? It is calorie. Okay, so if I calculate this one, if you, okay, it 1 divided by 1 divided by means it goes to the numerator, therefore it is 4186 multiplied by 18, you will get something around, this is 7 5, okay, 3 4 8, okay, so something around data is, okay, so this is 7 5 3 4 8, okay, now this 10 raised to minus 3, it also be going to the numerator, therefore it becomes 7 5 3 4 8 into 10 raised to minus 3 joule per, okay, if I calculate 10 raised to minus 3, then what happens? So this becomes 1 to, okay, so it is 75.348 into joule per mole Kelvin. Okay, now this is the molar specificity of water. So what is the value of molar specificity of water? You can see here, so something around 75.348 joule per mole per Kelvin. Okay, so now this is about the, so now this data we are getting from some experimental observations. Okay, so our theory says that, so the molar specificity of water is 9R. Okay, therefore I can write 9 into R as, okay, what is the value of R? Approximately we take it as 8.31, therefore the 9 multiplied by 8.31, you will get, yes, 74.79. You are getting here something around 74.79. Okay, now see here, this 74.79 is nearly equal to 75. Okay, so 74.79 is nearly equal to 75.348. Okay, so that means somewhat our theory 100, okay, so nearly matches with the experimental data. Okay, so that means our assumption is correct. Okay, we can treat water like an solid. Okay, if we treat the water like an solid, then the molar specificity of water is 9R and the data perfectly matches with. Okay, so therefore by using the law of equipartition of energy, we can also find specificity of water. Okay, so next move on to the next discussion here. Okay, so in the kinetic theory of gas, we have our last discussion is mean free path. Okay, so the gaseous molecules in a random direction. Okay, every time they collide with each other, they change their direction as well as their velocity. Okay, so therefore the distance between the two conjugate collision is decided by free path and the mean free path. Okay, the free path, okay, we can't say about this free path. Free path may be any value, but for a particular gas, the mean free path is almost constant. Okay, so in the mean free path, actually we use the average velocity. So before that, okay, in today's lecture, let me try to give the brief note on this RMS velocity, average velocity, and the most probable velocity. Okay, so let me take a small note on all these three velocities here. Okay, so RMS velocity, we already studied the RMS velocity here. Okay, so you can see here now this gas molecules. Okay, so if we take a gas, in a gas you have the large number of gas molecules. They are in a random motion. They are randomly moving. Let me assume that one particular gas molecule is moving along this direction, and there may be a second gas molecule. Its velocity is v2 and direction is also different. Okay, you can see here one gas molecule. Okay, so it is moving here. Second gas molecule can move here. So sometimes they collide. When they collide, what happens? See, definitely there will be a transferation, okay, of energy take place. Okay, due to that there will be change of velocity as well as when they collide, the direction also changes. Okay, therefore the different gas molecules are moving with a different velocity in a different directions. This is random motion. Okay, they have the different velocity as well as the different direction. Therefore, we cannot take the average. Okay, usually in statistics, okay, what we do? Okay, if you take a classroom example, okay, in a class there are hundreds of students are there. Okay, so we cannot say that all are having the same age. Okay, so all ages are same, 17 year, 6 months, 6 days. We can't predict like that. Okay, but if I take the average, okay, so someone is having the 17 years, 6 months, and he has completed 15 days, and someone is having the 17 years, 3 months, and they have completed some 20 days like this. Okay, someone may be having something around age of 18, and someone may be having an age of 16 years, 11 months like this. Okay, so we cannot give exactly the velocity of one particular person here, but we can predict the average age of an student present in the class. Okay, we can say that okay, for the first PU, student must have the age around 17. For the second PU, okay, so they should be having an age of 18. Okay, so 17, 18, what does it indicate? It indicates the average. Okay, if you take the average age of the student present in the class, then it is correct. Okay, are you getting me? So when you will take the average, when there is a deviation, then in that case the actual value is, the true value is considered to be an average value. But in case of gases, okay, but if I use the same concept of statistics of the averaging, okay, if I use in case of gases, then somewhat it creates a blunder here, because the average velocity of the gas molecule becomes 0. Okay, if you take the average velocity, then it becomes a 0. For an example, if I take the two gas molecules, one gas molecule is moving along this particular direction with a speed of 5 meters per second. Let me assume that is one more molecule is there. Now this is molecule number 1. So this may be a molecule number 502. Okay, so it may have an same velocity 5 meters per second, but it is moving in the opposite direction. Okay, so if I take the average, what happens? The 5 plus 5 divided by 2, then 10 by 2, then it becomes 5 only. Now this is correct. The average of 5 and 5 is 5 only. But as it is a velocity quantity, therefore we have to assume the direction also. Okay, if I take this as the direction of, okay, preference. Okay, this is our direction here, preferred direction. Okay, I am using sign convention here. So this particular velocity is considered plus here, and this molecule is moving in the opposite direction. Because the velocity is a vector quantity, we have to consider both magnitude as well as the direction. Okay, so you can see here this is plus 5, so this one becomes a minus 5. Plus 5 and minus 5 becomes 0. Therefore, your velocity becomes 0. And is it true? Okay, in a container there are millions of gas molecules are there, and they all are moving in a random direction. There may be a possibility that, okay, one particular molecule is moving along this direction. Okay, there is 100 molecule, this is moving along this other direction. If you take the average of this molecule and this molecule becomes a 0. Okay, if you take the overall container, then the average velocity of the gas is 0. Okay, the average velocity of the gas is 0. Okay, what is the velocity of the gas becomes 0? That means what? The molecules are not in movement, but it is not true. Gas means what? If they are not in a movement, that means they are not gas only. Okay, now that atoms are corresponding to solids here. In the gas, the molecules are always in a movement. Okay, therefore I cannot use the average velocity. Okay, I cannot use the average velocity for the, okay, so for the discussion here. Okay, if you take the average velocity, then automatically it becomes 0. Okay, what will we do is very simple. Why this V1 and V2 is becoming, why this V1 plus V2 become 0? Because their directions are random, therefore the one becomes minus and other becomes plus here. Okay, so but if I do like this, okay, so if I convert minus 5 into plus 5, then this is true. Okay, then 5 plus 5, okay, divided by 2, then it has become correct here. Now here, for an example, if I take, okay, so if I want to convert minus 5, and a plus 5. Now you can see here. So if I make this minus 5 as a plus 5, then it is correct. Then 5 plus 5 divided by 2. Okay, if I take V1 plus V2 divided by 2 as what we will do is very simple. We make square, then we make square root. If you make square and if you make square root, then you take the square root, then minus 5 become plus 5. Then you can write it as 5 plus 5 divided by 2. In that case, your answer matches. So therefore, what we do is here, we make the square here. We make the square of velocity of each molecules. Okay, there are large number of molecules. Let me say that there are Vn. Okay, there are n number of molecules. Therefore, Vn square. So first we make the square, then we make the average, then we will go for square root. Okay, so in that case, then that particular quantity becomes positive. Are you getting me? Okay, so you are making an square. If you make the square, then automatically the negative quantity becomes an positive quantity. Then you will take an average or mean. Then you will go for a square. Now such kind of velocity is called root mean square velocity. In case of kinetic theory of gases, we are not using the average velocity, but we are using the root mean square velocity. Is it correct? Okay, we call this velocity as root mean then square. First you make square, then you take the mean, then you take the root. Square, then mean, then root. If you go like this is the root, then you are taking the mean, then square. Now such kind of velocity is called root mean square velocity. Okay, so now here, okay, let me go for so brief discussion here. So if I take the square on the other side, then what happens? It becomes V square RMS the square. So on the other side it becomes V1 square plus V2 square plus V3 square, so on up to Vn square divided by n. Okay, let me try to define on quantity here. Okay, I am relating the root mean square velocity with respect to temperature. Already once we have done that, the so energy is interpreted in terms of the temperature. Okay, let me do the same method here. So V RMS square is equal to, if I take the square on the other side, it becomes V RMS square. Okay, so let me multiply by mass here. Okay, if we take, so let me assume that M1 is the mass of one gas. So we have taken that the all gas the molecules are identical. Okay, in the postulates we have taken the molecules are identical. Identical means what? All are having the same shape, same size. Okay, same mass. Therefore, if M is the mass of one gas molecule, then all the gas molecules should have the same mass here. So let me multiply it by half M here. Okay, so let me multiply by half M on both sides of the equation. So here it becomes half M V RMS square. Okay, here is also half M. If I take into the bracket sign here, half M V1 square. So this becomes half M V2 square plus half M V3 square. Are you getting me? Okay, so see here, very simple, half M Vn square. We have just multiplied by half M on both sides of the equation divided by M. Now look at here, what does this particular equation indicates here? What is meant by half M square? That is nothing but kinetic energy. So this is the kinetic energy of the first molecule. Now this is the kinetic energy of second molecule, kinetic energy of third molecule, the kinetic energy of the nth molecule divided by n. So that gives me what? We are making the sum of the kinetic energy divided by the number of gas molecule. That gives me what? That gives me average. That gives me average kinetic energy of gas molecules. Is it correct? So this is nothing but your average kinetic energy of gas molecules. So this particular quantity, half M into V RMS square, that gives me average kinetic energy of gas molecules. Okay, so let me use the law of equipartition of energy. Now, law of equipartition of energy says that energy is equal to how much? Okay, so energy is equal to, if you take, so now these are all the monatomic gases. Okay, so therefore, if I write like this, half M into V RMS square, it can be written as half kT Okay, it has got, okay, so in 3 axis it can move, therefore I can write it as half mv square is equal to 3 into half kt, so it can be written as 3 by 2 kt. Okay, if I use the law of equipartition of energy, then I can say that half V RMS square can be written as 3 by 2 kt. Already you have, okay, so written this equation by using the perfect gas relation, okay, by using the expression of pressure, and okay, so by using the expression P is equal to 1 by 3 mn V square, okay, we have done the same steps here, okay, you can refer to the previous videos also. Half, okay, this time, okay, so we are writing by using the law of equipartition of energy. Half m Vrms square can be written as 3 by 2 kt. Okay, so therefore I can get the value of Vrms as, therefore Vrms the square. Now here this is for the sake of definition, it is okay, but you cannot measure the velocity of individual gas molecule. Now for a definition this is correct, okay, but you cannot measure Vrms by using this formula, because okay, to measure the Vrms you require the velocity of each gas molecule, and practically this is impossible. Okay, therefore we are using this equation. Vrms square can be written as 3 kt by m. Okay, therefore Vrms, the root mean square velocity of the gas molecule is given by 3 kt by m. The square root of 3 kt by m. This is a measurable quantity. K is the Boltzmann constant. T is an absolute temperature of this, okay, of the gas, and m is nothing but the mass corresponding to gas molecule. Okay, if you know the molecular weight, then you can find m here. Okay, so for an example, nitrogen, in our book it is given. Okay, so you can okay, so during the problem, okay, let me solve 1 or 2 problems on RMS velocity of the gas molecules. So RMS velocity is given by 3 kt by m. Okay, it is a larger quantity. In a problem part, you come to know that they are of the order of velocity of sound. Okay, they are not a smaller quantity. Okay, so therefore we can measure the Vrms by using this formula. So now this is for only for the definition. Okay, to measure the Vrms you require this particular formula, root of 3 kt by m. Okay, you can see that therefore the average kinetic energy of the gas molecule depends on what? It depends on the temperature. If the temperature is increasing, then the kinetic energy is also increasing. Okay, therefore we define the internal energy as the average kinetic energy of the gas molecules. Okay, so now this is called RMS velocity of the gas molecule. But in kinetic theory of gases, okay, so we use 3 types of velocity for the study of gases. Okay, one is the most popular one is root mean square velocity. We have defined derivations also, and other 2 velocities are there, but in a few, okay, it is difficult to give the derivation for them. Okay, there are some, they are having the last mathematical step here. One discussion is given by Maxwell, James Clerk Maxwell, a very pioneer scientist in, okay, so quantum mechanics as well as in the statistical thermodynamics. Okay, so therefore this is, okay, this one is very famously called as Maxwell's law of distribution of velocity. Maxwell law of distribution is very famously called it as Maxwell law of distribution of velocity. Okay, Maxwell law of distribution of velocity. Okay, so I'm not going to the detailed discussion of Maxwell law of distribution of velocity here. Okay, so when you go to the, okay, so higher classes graduation, you will have the, okay, so discussion about this Maxwell law of distribution of velocity. Just I am taking certain, okay, I am borrowing the graph from the, okay, so so Maxwell's law. So you have an x-axis as well as x-axis, okay, y-axis. In the x-axis they take the speed, the velocity, okay, and on the y-axis they take the fraction. Okay, so there is a number of gas, not exactly number of gas molecules, they are the fraction of number of gas molecules here. Okay, so when you plot the graph of the velocity versus number here, the graph is somewhat like this. Okay, so the graph is somewhat like this. So what does this graph indicate? Okay, what is this graph? It's a somewhat a bell-shaped graph like this. So what does this graph indicate? Now you can see here. Okay, so it is just like a graph of an the marks of the student. Okay, so in a class, if there are 100 students are there, if I just okay analysis their okay mark sheet, If I take the marks here, then again the marks is somewhat like this. Okay, so someone has got 100 out of 100. Someone may have got a 0 marks. Okay, someone has got some 90 marks. Someone has got some 80 marks, then 60 marks, then 70 marks. Okay, someone has gotten 50, then 40, then 30, then 20, then 10. Okay, so if I take this one as marks, okay, if I take the number of students, okay, so let me take this one as marks and this one is the number of students. I can see that there are, okay, so small number of students who are getting the, okay, so high marks. There are the small number of students who are getting the low marks, and there are large number of students who are getting the average marks. Okay, in a particular classroom, there are a large number of students, they are getting an average marks. Okay, but the high scoring and the low scoring students, their number is always small. Okay, now same here. So you have seen that the different gas molecules are moving with a different velocity. Okay, different gas molecules are moving with different velocity. Okay, if there are 100 gas molecules, there may be one gas molecule which is moving with 1 meter per second. There may be some, it is moving with 3 meter per second. There may be a gas molecule which is moving with an 90 meter per second. But the Maxwell's law, it says that maximum number of, you can see here, the maximum number of gas molecules are moving with a particular velocity. Okay, so for an example, out of 100, there are 60 gas molecules are there which are moving with an velocity of 50 meter per second. Okay, so take a rough data here. Okay, there are 100 gas molecules. Out of 100 gas molecules, there are 60 gas molecules which are moving. They are having the same velocity. The 60 gas molecules are having the same velocity. How much it is? 50 meter per second. Okay, so now this is called, this particular velocity is called most probable velocity. This velocity is called most probable velocity. Okay, most probable velocity. Okay, so when you go to your graduation, okay, you will discuss about the Maxwell's law of distribution of velocity, and you are going to find this. Okay, so the formula for most probable velocity. I just borrow this particular data from your, okay, from the higher books here. So what is the value of most probable velocity? It is most probable velocity, okay, square root of 2 kT by m. Okay, so the derivation is, okay, let me write m, most probable velocity. Okay, most probable velocity, how much it is? 2 kT. Okay, so it has got a, okay, heavy mathematical derivation is there, okay, which requires, okay, so high knowledge of statistics. Therefore, directly I am going to write the most probable velocity can be written as the square root of 2 kT by m. Okay, so you can see here, this is 3 kT by m. Root means square velocity, and the most probable velocity is what? It is 2 kT by m. So which one is greater? Definitely, so far the root mean square velocity is greater than most probable. There one more is there. That is average speed, not average velocity. Not average velocity. You can't call it as average velocity. What is the average velocity of gas molecule? It is 0. It is 0. If you take the average speed, okay, what is the difference between speed and velocity? Speed is a scalar quantity, velocity is a vector quantity. Okay, when you consider the velocity, you have to take the both magnitude as well as the direction. If you take the speed, okay, if you take the speed, then the magnitude is enough. Okay, if you assume that one gas molecule is moving with an velocity of 5 meter per second, other gas molecule is moving with a velocity of 5 meter per second, but in the opposite direction, then what is your average velocity? Automatically average velocity becomes 0. Plus 5 minus 5 divided by 2, it becomes 0. But if you take the average speed, when you take the speed, you neglect the direction. Okay, you are neglecting the direction. Therefore, you write just 5 plus 5 divided by 2, then it is 5 only. Okay, if you are taking the average speed, then somewhat it gives, okay, so a nearer answer. Therefore, if I take the average speed, okay, this is average speed, okay, average speed. Again, in the PG, post graduation, okay, you will have this derivation. You have to use integration here. Okay, so it requires some okay, 1 or 2 page derivation. Okay, you use the difference integration. Therefore, I am directly writing average speed as, okay, let me write VA. Okay, that is average speed. Average speed again have the derivation. I am going to write the direct formula. Okay, in problem part we require. Therefore, I am taking this okay formulas from the textbook. So it is written as root of 8 kt, 8 kt, but it is pi m. Yes, it is correct. It is pi m. Okay, you can see it. So this is the most. This is the average velocity. So therefore, in kinetic theory, the gas molecules has got 3 types of velocity. Okay, you can discuss their velocity either by using the root mean square velocity, or by using the average, or by using the most probable velocity. Okay, and this if you calculate for a particular, okay, say here it depends on kt. Okay, it depends on m here. Okay, so if you take this one, so roughly I can say that. Okay, so which one is greater? You can see here Vrms is greater than VA, because it is 8 kt, then it is 2 kt. Okay, so in higher classes usually, okay, so we remember this formula RAM. Okay, to okay, so to know, okay, which particular velocity is greater, just we remember this formula RAM. Okay, R stands for root mean square velocity, Vrms. Okay, A stands for average, and M stands for most probable velocity. Okay, so you can see here, so Vrms is always greater than average velocity, and it is greater than most probable velocity. Okay, let me solve 1 or 2 problems. Okay, okay, you get to know about this velocities. Okay, so but for the sake of comprehension exams, just remember that the root mean square velocity is greater than average velocity, and the average velocity is greater than mean velocity. Okay, so this is the somewhat a rough picture about the velocities of gas molecules. Okay, so in the next lecture, let me go for the last discussion of this topic, kinetic theory of gases, that is mean free path. Okay, so thank you for your kind attention.